So I was thinking we would discuss something from one of our ancient texts called the Nectar of Instruction. Generally, instructions aren't nectarian, but this book, Nectar of Instruction, is filled with nectar. And the first verse, or the stanza in this is Vacho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Buddhapasta Vegam. That one who is able to control the urge to speak. We all have an urge to speak. But actually, what's more important than speaking is hearing. That's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. We'd hear more. So sometimes we may be having some exchange with someone, and someone gets angry and says something that's a little critical, offensive, and we want to retaliate and say something back to them. Right? That happens sometimes, and sometimes they get exchanges back and forth, and it becomes very heated, and even violence. So it said that better to control one's speech. One who's able to control the urge to speak. So sometimes it's better to just be tolerant than to protest, to retaliate. Our founder Acharya, Guru Srila Prabhupada, he tells of one instance where 2 brothers, they were having a argument, back and forth. And it got so heated that they started fighting. And one of them killed the other. True. And then they went to court, the one that killed the other brother, the judge, sentenced him to death, and the father said, "Please, Your Honor, one son's dead. Please, I only have one left. Let him live." Okay. But this is how heated it can be if one doesn't control this urge to speak. So it's so important that we speak in a way that is pleasing. This is one of the austerities of speech in the Bhagavad Gita. You're very active this evening. She's like a bunny rabbit. I think you're going to have to come and get her. She wants to come up here and speak, I think. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse about the austerities of speech. Anudvegam karang vakyam, to speak that which is not agitating to others. To speak that which is pleasing to others. To speak that which is truthful to others. To speak that which is beneficial to others. And to repeat what is in the Vedic literatures. So this is the austerity of speech. So Vacho Vegam, this is the first instruction, to control the urge to speak. And the next one is the mind's demands. Actually, everything begins with thought, just like this country of America began with a thought. Back in, I guess, 1700s, the British had come to America to. She's an old friend, so she keeps on becoming attracted. Past lives, So actually, also last week we were talking. So this country of America began with a thought. The British had come here to America to conquer, like they did everywhere else in the world, and some of them thought, well, why don't we just separate from England and start our own country here. And some of the others said, yeah, all right, yeah, let's do it, you know. Basically, that's how it started, a thought. Yeah. So there's, actually there's evil thoughts and there's good thoughts. Just like we have this whole thing now that's going on in Ukraine. It started with a thought. You know, Putin just thought, well, let's take Ukraine. It started with a thought, and it escalated to what's going on now. Horrific. Began with a thought. It's an evil thought. He should have kicked it out of his mind, but he held on to it. So some thoughts we should kick out. And the best way to kick out thoughts, evil thoughts, bad thoughts, chanting this Hare Krishna mantra. Purifies the mind, purifies the heart. And there's good thoughts. We want to keep those. Just like you all thought of coming here tonight. It's a good thought. You get to do some meditation. You're going to hear some nice, hopefully some nice wisdom thoughts, and some nice food. So, in Brazil, there was this guy that came up. He had this thought of having a radio station of just good news. It was called the Good News Channel. Now, you know, all over the world there's news, and it's generally bad news, right? So he decided we're going to have a news channel with just good news. So it's called the Good News Channel. And that's all they put on the radio, just good news. Now, wouldn't that be nice? You know, we had just a good news radio station in America. Unfortunately, the one in Brazil, it only lasted 6 months. They ran out of good news. You know? So it's a material world, yeah. So, yeah, this knowledge, the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's all about good news. And by hearing this knowledge, we also get filled with good energy, good news. We want to give out the good news. Therefore, the main activity of this society is giving out good news. We distribute about 9 million books every year all over the world that give information about Krishna and spiritual life and the soul and higher consciousness. So millions of people are benefiting by this. And it's interesting that Srila Prabhupada, this is what we affectionately call him, Srila Prabhupada, this statue here. His spiritual master saw him the first time back in 1922. And upon seeing him the first time, his spiritual master said, you know, you're intelligent young men. He had a friend with him. So you should go to the English-speaking West and you should teach this message to them. And he said, well, at that time they were under British rule. He said, but we're under foreign rule. Who's going to hear us? Why would anybody want to hear us? We're under foreign rule, the British. And his spiritual master said the teachings of Krishna are not dependent on some political arrangement. If anybody sincerely teaches this message, people will benefit. So he was very happy to hear this. Unfortunately, he couldn't take it up at that time. He was married and had a family and everything. But 43 years later, he did it. And that's why we have this nice temple room here. And all over the world, we have about 600 temples all over the world, because he took that instruction that he had received 43 years earlier and did an amazing thing. He was 70 years old when he arrived in America. And at that time, 1965, there was an unwritten rule Don't trust anyone over 35. Yeah, that's the old generation. Don't trust them. So then Prabhupada comes, and he's twice that age, and so many youth, the flowers of the country, are giving their life to him because he had this purity. He had the purity of following the teachings of Krishna. So Vacho Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam, one who was able to control the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of the tongue. Now the tongue has two activities. We eat and we speak. So these things have to be controlled, otherwise they cause problems. I mentioned how sometimes if we get angry or sometimes they can lead into difficulty. But also eating, if we eat too much. Like a big problem in this country is obesity. People are eating too much. So to control the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of the tongue, the belly, the genitals also, to control the sex urge. You know, this Mahatma Gandhi in India, he was able to remove the British from India. He was very powerful. And he said this was because he was celibate. From the time he was 32, he was celibate. And I think he passed away in his 80s or something like that. You become very powerful. And even athletes, the coaches tell athletes, no hanging out with the girls, guys. Because they become stronger if you hold that energy. So,
what about women?
That's a good question. I never thought about that. But yeah, we're gonna have to investigate that one. I don't know. Yeah, say something, please.
I read that after 13 lunations, your yoni resets. So perhaps
What is 13 what?
13 lunations, like the full moon, which aligns with your 9 months or 13 days, months. It's difficult.
13 months of celibacy for women?
That's what I've heard.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's actually. I mean, I've been celibate for 43 years now. I'm pretty happy. I'm doing all right, you know. As a monk, and it happened with a thought. I got a Bhagavad Gita, and I read the Bhagavad Gita, and I was, wow, this is good. And then I heard about the monk life, and I thought, well, no, that'd be interesting. So, became a monk. It's a nice life. So, yeah, to control the mind, to control the senses, because actually, we're not the body. We're not men, we're not women, we're not American, we're not Russians. We're spirit souls, eternally. This is just a temporary dress for the soul. There's an interesting show on the Twilight Zone. Now, this Twilight Zone is an old. Have anybody here never heard of the Twilight Zone? Raise your hand. You're the only one that hasn't heard of the Twilight Zone. So everybody else knows about it. Okay, no, you're from America? Ukraine. You're from Ukraine. Oh, thank you. You're here at least. You're not in Ukraine. I'm going to speak about Ukraine later. So the Twilight Zone, as you know, this is it's a kind of science fiction movie. So one of these shows was actually very enlightening, and whoever what was his name? Who was the person that did those? Rod Stewart. So he came up with this this one episode. It was quite interesting. I'm going to explain it to you now. I think you might appreciate it. There was a person on this planet that was a very bad guy. He listened to his evil thoughts a lot. And he was a big criminal, huge criminal. So they thought, this person is such a big criminal, we're going to give him a punishment that no one has ever received. they decided to take him to another planet. Yeah. Remember, this is the twilight zone. So they took him to another planet. They dropped him off there and said, "This is your planet." Now, someone might think, well, that's not too bad. I got my own planet. But he's there by himself. And he's got a shack. So, I mean, imagine, you're on a planet by yourself, and that'll drive you nuts, right? But they would come every couple of months, and drop off some food and things that he might need just to survive. So this is going on for some years. Then they drop off a box, a big box for him. And they said, "This is for you. This might help you out a bit." And then they left, flew back to America. He opens it up, and it's a robot that he has to assemble. So he assembles a robot, and it's a woman. He assembles it, and then he's like disgusted. "Oh man, this is ridiculous. This is just a robot. What's the use?" And he pushed the robot, and the robot spoke. And she said, "You hurt me." He said, "What do you mean I hurt you? You're a robot. You can't hurt a robot." "Well, I'm a special robot." "You have feelings?" "Yeah, you hurt me." And he said, "Well, I'm sorry." And now he could speak to someone. So it was a big relief. I have someone to speak to. I have a companion. So, I mean, we can't imagine that was a great thing for him. So life is going on. He has this companion now. And then the spacecraft comes, and one of the guys says, "I have some really good news for you. Your sentence has been lifted. You can go back to America." And he was so happy. He said, "I'm going back to America." And he told the robot, I forgot her name, "I'll take you with me. I'll show you America. You'll love it. It's beautiful. Much better than this planet." And the guys that dropped off the robot, they said, "I was afraid this was going to happen, that you would become attached to this robot. It's just a robot." So one of the guys pulls out a gun, and the prisoner says, No, don't stop. That's my friend. Don't shoot. He shoots the robot, and it's just a bunch of wires and metal, and the guy was shocked. He said, "Wow, it was just a robot. I forgot. It wasn't real. It was just a robot." So we're also thinking that we're this body, but it's just a machine. And it's got parts. It's got organs. It's got about 70 organs. It's got about 3 liters of blood. But it's just, believe it or not, it's a machine. And when this machine dies, we don't die. We're going to continue according to our karma. So this is the reality, that we're spirit souls. We've lived many lives, and we're going to live many lives. But the goal of the human form of life is to become pure, for the soul to become pure again. This is our natural position, to be pure, to not be contaminated by lust and anger and greed and envy and illusion, all these things, but to be pure souls. And once we become pure souls, we go back home, back to Godhead. And there it's called Vaikuntha. No anxiety. Here there's so much anxiety. So much anxiety, so many problems in this world. So there's another stanza I wanted to mention to you that you might appreciate. Akinchanasya dantasya santasya samachetasa maya santusya manasa sarva sukha Maya Dasa. Now, this is one of my favorite verses in all of our literatures, which says that one who is free of material desires. You see, like I mentioned earlier, we have evil desires or thoughts, and we have good thoughts. So these are desires also, just like, again, Putin had this material desire to take over Ukraine. You know, we have about 20,000 devotees in Ukraine. I've been there many times, wonderful devotees. And now many of them are leaving, and it's a very poor country. So many of them don't have cars, they're walking in the cold. So in nearby countries, like in Poland, we have many devotees there also. We have farms there, so many of the devotees from Ukraine are going to Poland, and also, what's the country south of Poland there? I can't remember it now. Huh? Well, that's another one. Huh? Anyway, we have temples in these countries that are nearby Ukraine, so they're going to these countries, and devotees are taking care of them. You know, thousands of devotees are leaving, and devotees in these countries, they're taking care of them. So devotees from around the world are sending money there so they can be taken care of, because the countries there nearby, they're also not very wealthy. So that's the good news tonight for you, that devotees are being taken care of, leaving Ukraine and being taken care of by the devotees there in other countries. So that's very auspicious. So we have so many desires will come. So some desires we have to reject, and some we have to accept. And it's like here in America, there's about 2 million prisoners because they didn't reject these bad thoughts, and they carried them out, and they got caught, went to prison. So the human form of life, we should learn how to accept things that are favorable and reject things that are unfavorable. And that's one of the, actually also in our books, this is one of the ways to grow spiritually. So many things we have to reject. But it's like before I became a monk, I didn't know what was right and what was wrong, right? It's like we're not taught in school what's right and what's wrong. We learn something from our parents, right? But as far as spiritual life, what's right and what's wrong, we didn't have a clue. So in these books that we have, actually we should have a display of books. But actually we do. When you leave, you could take some of these books, leave a donation if you like, whatever you feel is appropriate, and you'll learn a lot. There's one wise person in Australia who said that if you don't learn something new every day about life, you waste that day. That makes sense? Yeah, we should learn something new every day about life. And we have so many nice books, ancient texts that help us, you know, in doing what is right and not doing what is wrong. Yeah. So Akinchinasya Dantasya, who is able to, this is similar to the previous, who is able to control the senses. Yeah. These senses actually are meant to be utilized in the service of Krishna. He's given us this body. It's not ours. We didn't create it. We can't, if it breaks down, we can't create another one. Krishna's creating everything. So it's meant to be utilized in the service of Krishna. And this gives pleasure to the soul and to the mind. So Akinchinasya Dantasya Santasya, who is peaceful. Who is peaceful. So often I meet people that ask me, so how can I become more peaceful? And I give them this mantra that we chant. This will help you become very peaceful. this meditation. Actually, more and more people around the world are participating in this mindfulness, meditation. And there's millions of people who chant this mantra that we were chanting earlier. All around the world, people are chanting this and feeling the good effect of this mantra. So, Kenchina Siddhantasya Santasya Samachetasa, who sees everyone equally. There's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Gavihastini, that the humble Vaishnava, or the sadhu, he sees everyone equally. The brahmana, the cow, the elephant, the dog eater. Now how could he see them all equally? Because he sees with knowledge that everyone is a soul. Therefore we respect all life forms. When we walk down the street and we see an ant, we don't step on the ant. We don't disturb any living entity. And therefore, as you probably all know, we're vegetarian. We don't want to cause harm to any living entity. So it's nice to have this equality towards all living entities. And therefore, a devotee who's practicing this seriously, he sees everyone as a friend. Doesn't treat anyone as an enemy. Someone may treat him as an enemy, because sometimes people don't like monks or something. But a devotee sees everyone as a spirit soul, so they don't feel any enmity towards anyone. So Kinchinasya Dantasya Santasya Samacheta Maya Santusya Manasa. And such a person, he's satisfied. He's content in life. If one has this mood, this understanding. And such a person, wherever he goes in the world, will only experience happiness. And many of the devotees in Poland and the countries nearby there, they're amazed about how the devotees coming from Ukraine, they're happy. They're happy, even though they're going through this major reversal, because they understand, I'm not this body. I'm part of the Supreme, Krishna. And this is happening due to past karma. So there's an amazing verse or stanza that you'll be amazed. Tattena kampang susamik samano. This is spoken by a great saintly person. He says to Krishna, always seeking your compassion, tolerating all difficulties as being due to my own past activities, and always serving you with mind, body, and words. Such a devotee is able to inherit the kingdom of God, the spiritual world. So sometimes when reversals happen to us, we blame somebody. Oh, why? Why did he do this? Or why is God doing this? Well, why? But a sincere devotee thinks, whatever is happening to me, it's not accident. I deserved it somehow due to my past activities. Maybe this life, maybe past life. So a devotee doesn't blame anybody. There's no accidents. And the future of Putin, I can tell you for sure, is very dark, causing so much suffering to thousands and thousands, now millions of people. So, maybe I'll leave a little time for questions, if anybody has any question. Or, yes, we have a microphone just now coming. In 5 seconds. 4, in the corner. 3, 2, 1.5.
Hello. All right, cool. This works. All right, here's the question.
Yeah.
It's about Putin, right?
About Putin? Okay, yeah.
You said that, his future's dark, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did see one bright side to this chaos, and I think that him setting Russia back on the gold standard, like we had here in the U.S., is probably the right direction. If he succeeds in this, it might be something that's beneficial for the world, right? So how would his future be dark if he could bring some light into the world?
Well, if he does one little thing good like that, that doesn't erase all the evil that he's doing. So many people have hundreds and hundreds. I don't know if maybe it's in the thousands now. Thousands of people have died now because of his evil thoughts and actions. So yeah, the gold standard is good. It'd be better around the world if it was like that. But one good doesn't remove all the evil. Thank you. Yes, we have another question here by this young lady.
This body is a machine, it's not ours.
Yeah.
But we are in this body, and we have these pleasures that why not use, and really we have so many things we could do with it, this body. Why not embrace it for this life that we have in it? Because what's our next life? What are we doing? But right now I'm in this body. I would like to pleasure it as much as I can, right? So.
Okay, good question. But you're trying to enjoy something that you're not. So you're not the body at all. So, but if you try to enjoy the body, that means you become more entangled in the illusion. See, you're in the illusion that you're the body, and therefore, well, let me enjoy the body. But that increases the illusion. That increases the bondage. So it'll be difficult in that way to get realization that you're not the body, that you're the soul. And to live, actually, if you could live in a way that you realize you're not the body, you experience inner happiness. See, there's external pleasures or happiness, but that's temporary and illusory. But there's inner happiness, which is eternal and everlasting. You know, the pleasures in this world, they're temporary, flickering, short time. Yeah. But spiritual pleasures always increasing, and it gets better and better. Yeah. Pleasures in this world, they come to a certain level and they decrease, right? Then you lose it. It comes and goes, right? But spiritual happiness is always increasing. And the nature of this world is that people are always hankering. They're hankering for material pleasure. And when they don't get it, they're lamenting, right? Hankering and lamenting. Just like a few nights ago, I was resting up here, and there was one person, it was Saturday night, and he was groaning. He was shouting and crying out, just such misery for a half hour. I couldn't believe it. He was so loud, and he was just total misery. I kind of felt sorry for the guy. But he was just, maybe his girlfriend left him or something. I don't know. But he was really, really miserable. So this is the material world. It's a place of a lot of suffering because they're trying to enjoy something that they're not. There may be some apparent pleasure there, but it's like the man and woman, they get married and the wedding is so much joy and flowers and parties, and it's just such a joyous thing. But then half the marriages end in divorce. So where'd the pleasure go? Yeah, it's like sand, it goes to our fingers. So this temporary happiness is not satisfying to the soul. But if you connect, actually yoga means connection. If you connect with Krishna, He's a reservoir of pleasure. Then you experience unlimited happiness. Brahmasokyam tvanantam. So this is the happiness of the soul. You're not the mind, you're not the body. We're the soul within. And that connection, that service to that Supreme Soul, Krishna, that's the highest happiness that you can even imagine. Okay? You're welcome. Yes, we have a question back here.
Yeah, so from your comments on Putin, I was reminded of like a picture in the Gita where there's controllers controlling people as if
People are puppets, yeah.
the puppets. Yeah, can you comment on those two?
Yeah, there's the three modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And the nature of people in the mode of ignorance is, yeah, they're hankering for so many material things, and then they're lamenting. They're lamenting, hankering and lamenting. That's material consciousness. So hankering, just like some people, they live in a dream. Just like they have this thing, passionate people, live for your dreams, live for your dreams. But that's living in the future. And other people, they're lamenting that they lost something. But the mode of goodness means you're living in the present, not hankering for the future or lamenting. Someone lamenting for the past, that's the mode of ignorance. The mode of passion is hankering for something that's in the distance. Yeah. The mode of goodness is just like there used to be this book, many of you probably know, Be Here Now, Baba Ram Das. Live for the moment. There's a nice little stanza by the father of Prabhupada's spiritual master. You'll like this. Puck up your ears, you'll like this. He says, "Forget the past that sleeps, nor the future dream at all, but live in times that are with thee, and progress thee shall call." Isn't that beautiful? Should I repeat it? Forget the past that sleeps. Let it sleep. Nor the future dream at all. Live in times that are with thee, and progress thee shall call. There's another one, some of you might have heard. The past is history. The future's a mystery. Today's a gift. That's why they call it the present. The past is history. The future's a mystery. Today's a gift. That's why they call it the present. Live for the present. And now we're going to have some nice prasadam for you that you could enjoy at the present. Okay, thank you very much. One little thing.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
just to wrap up, just thank you everybody for coming. This is every Thursday, so please come back. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Also, we have Sunday. You can come on Sunday at 5:30. We have the same thing, except for we get up and we dance. Anybody like to dance here? We dance. Sunday, 5:30. Well, we have the kirtan at 5:30, right? Yeah. And we dance. We got some good dancers.
Dancing, physical pleasure.
Yeah. No, but this is in the service of Krishna. This is spiritual. You could dance for Krishna. Actually, there's an amazing statement that if you dance for Krishna, the modes of material nature, passion and ignorance, they fly away, and you develop your love for Krishna. Krishna's Krishna dances. God, there's one philosopher who said that when I hear that God dances, I'll believe there's a God. He didn't get to hear about Krishna, though. Krishna is the best dancer. Yes. Oh, where's the microphone? We still have a question here. No, it's okay. We like questions. Oh, there it is.
This is a little confusing. 'Cause
Put the microphone closer. There you go. It's okay.
This is a little confusing.
It's okay.
'Cause, you know, life is a little confusing, you
It's
know?
okay.
So,
We'll try to get it.
to get back to, like, the circle of life, like how life is supposed to happen, how we have these special gurus who've, like, brought to us what they have. And, like, in order to have that, we had to go through, like, I just think that, yeah, half of marriages might end. But what about the other half that, like, actually does survive and is pure love? Like, I just think that humanity has lost hope in that, and it's not actually, like, supposed to be viewed like that. It's not supposed to be viewed as just the negative. I think yoga is looking at the positive part of things, and, like, that there is a good way to, like, do it in the right aspects, because it is like a creation that is put in our minds by a higher force, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah, there's bad ways of doing it, and then there's good ways of doing it. So, like,
Very good. Thank you. I got it. Thank you so much.
You know?
Good. Very good. Yeah, there's many couples, they stay together throughout their life. I mean, I distribute books on Balboa Park, and I meet many people, they're in their 80s, and they're very happy. But still, the body's going to die. They have to separate. So it's temporary.
yeah, but as long as, like, the two people know that, then, like,
Yeah, and they continue. That's all right. But still, the point is, it's going to end. But the soul doesn't end. The soul doesn't end. So there's a happiness when one becomes very advanced spiritually. When the body dies, your happiness continues. You go on to higher goals. You know, you get liberated from this bondage. Yeah. So the man and woman, even they live up to 80, 90 years, and they're happily married, but the body's going to die. But they don't die, and they don't know that. And they don't know, you know. I mean, some do. I mean, we have devotees in our society that have been married for 40, 50 years. And Krishna's in the middle of the relationship, and they're very happy. Krishna's in the middle. It's not a material relationship. It's a spiritual relationship, a very bonding. And they know they're going to continue on somewhere else. And they encourage each other in their spiritual life. So that's a divine relationship. That's the best, where they encourage each other in their spiritual life, and they go on, knowing that the soul is going to continue. The body's going to die. We're going to continue on. Soulmates, yeah, sure. So that's a beautiful marriage and a beautiful life. And we have those examples in our society. So, is that okay? Thank you. Anything else? If we could continue. Yes, yes.
Hello. Just a personal experience,
Yeah.
and just something that I would like to do to expand on a couple of the subjects. I think that it's important to remember that we all have a path to walk that is unique to our experience. For there are some of us who may choose celibacy for opening and expanding consciousness. There are others whom will choose war to expand their territory. And so we have to honor that. What's to me is that ebb and flow. There are times that you should indulge in whatever desires or pleasures you may have, if that's what your path calls. And there are times that you have to refrain from certain things, sometimes from food. I personally like to fast at certain times because of the effect it has. I also used to be 444 pounds at my biggest, so I overindulged in food in the past. And so there is a variable to life on earth where I am very conscious that I am not the body, that I am the soul. But my soul loves to say, but you are the body too. And so...
But we're not the body.
Correct. and then so this is where I always remind people that when you're walking your path and one visits other tribes, one must respect the rules of the tribe and choose what you embody and what you let go.
And the goal in this journey that we're all on is to grow spiritually, eventually to understand and to realize that we're the soul. We're part of that Supreme Soul, and to connect. And when we do that, phew, hallelujah. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.